as the start gun is fired in Monte Carlo, what do we think will be the main headlines or topics that stand out?
Ooh, I'm trying to think what I want to think about is like what will change. Like what will be the thing that's different? I think there's trends that exist, but brokers are always sort of balancing this, pushing for more, but trying to win their client's business and sort of trying to establish the baseline and being the ones who absorb, like if you think about like the data problem, the brokers certainly want to have better data with their clients, but they kind of absorb that if they don't get it and they try to make do with what they have there. So I'm trying to think about something that would be more of a contentious prediction.
Sub 100 million loss year.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Could be. I think we already had such a big loss from the wildfires, I guess, is the main challenge. And higher than average hurricane activity expected this season. I have seen some forecasts. We'll see.
I would be interested to see if we get into early September what storm season starts to do. Because last year we had it going into Monte Carlo, storms like brewing, and you're getting sort of like, okay, what is? So I think that would be interesting to see if what the end part of storm season looks like, and if we get any sort of last minute surges that cause a bit of a shake up. Because they're trying to make these predictions in isolation, but like there's also been a lot of like quake activity in sort of around like North Japan. Sort of Russian between Alaska and Russia, like that. If more activity happens up there, that would be very very interesting on what that would do to the market if it ends up having like a Japanese impact or typhoon impact or tsunami impact.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Obviously, it's very difficult to predict like what losses will happen, right? And we could take guesses at where we'll see major activity.
We had a whole conversation about how all the models are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what I was going to say, they maybe looking at it the other way around, is a lot of the narrative and a lot of the conversations in the market over the last few years have been supported by, I think, underwriters' ability to just provide this endless list of why the world was becoming riskier and why everything was becoming more uncertain. Right? You were like, we've got the fallout from the pandemic, we've got inflation, like, and interest rates spiraling out of control, we've got climate change is suddenly a thing that we were pretending wasn't a thing, but now we kind of accept that it is a thing and we need to play catch up there. We've got Russia, Ukraine, we've got a potential Middle East crisis going on. Like my prediction, or at least question, would be, what happens if that starts to roll back a bit and it becomes, perhaps less uncertain? I mean, again, I don't want to put too much hope into it, but who knows? Maybe we get a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, and suddenly that becomes a lot calmer, and suddenly a whole bunch of commerce starts opening up, and it's then a very different world that we're looking at. What if tariffs turn out to be tacos? What if all sorts of issues, calm down in other parts of the world, and actually it starts to feel like a less risky world? I think that would be a really odd thing for the markets to deal with, having talked it up so much up until now. Would we suddenly find ourselves in a, like, oh, does that mean we have to have a soft market?
It's like that sort of meme, but going like, what if we lived in precedented times? We're in a precedented era. Like, well, how do we price precedented risk? Versus this sort of, as you're rightfully pointing out, like this sort of constant, like everything is changing faster than we can adapt, and that becomes stressful. They're like, oh,